Namaste. My name is Kirthi, and I'm from Chennai, India. I'm 26 years old, and I am an online UN volunteer. 4 years ago, on October 12, 2010, when I was filling out my application form to be an online volunteer, I just had one thing in mind. I thought I was doing something to enrich my resume. I had no idea that I was setting the ball rolling on one of my most life-changing experiences. Over the span of 4 years, I have been a volunteer contributor to over 20 different organizations that include within its fold UN agencies, governmental and non-governmental organizations, civil society initiatives, and partnerships between the UN and non-UN entities. But the one that I'd like to talk to you all about today is a part of my association with Delta Women, an NGO based out of Nigeria and the United States, founded and run by Elsie Ijorogu-Reed. Now, before I share my story with you, I'd like to ask you all a question, and I'd appreciate an answer with a show of hands. How many of you over here, at any point in your life, have taken education for granted? It's a fair number, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I must confess that I was on that side of the fence for a long time in my life. But the story I'm about to share with you changed me completely while I lived it. And I hope that it will bring you all to this side of the fence as well. My role with Delta Women was essentially to be a blogger and a contributor to Advocacy online. So I would spend a couple of hours every week reading about the lives of women and children in Nigeria, writing out articles of not more than 500 words from a human rights perspective. And in the course of all of these articles that I wrote, there was one common theme, that there were whole communities in Nigeria that had no access to quality and affordable healthcare and education. One day, I had an email from the founder of the organization asking me in the subject line to look through the couple of photographs she'd attached before reading the body of the email. So these photographs showed me about 10 to 12 children in different stages of making a journey. In the early part of the photographs, they were walking on swamps, they were walking on muddy tracks, on roads that were not even roads to start with. Towards the later part, they seemed to be crossing a highway with what only looked like speeding vehicles and heavy-moving vehicles. In some parts, they were jumping over potholes, they were crossing live wires, and in many of these pictures, believe you me, so many children had littler children strapped on their stomachs or on their backs. The body of the email told me that these children were making a journey from their village called Oko Ejorogu to the closest village to them just to be able to attend school. And the distance was 25 kilometers every morning and 35 kilometers every evening because of a diversion in the roadways. I paused for a moment, stepped back, and thought back to where I was living. Here I was in this community where I knew so many children who used to cry and curse their parents for waking them up early in the morning to go to school. But these children, they were waking up as early as 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. to cook for their families or fetch clean water before they went to school. That email from Elsie left me with one line: we have to do something. Later that evening, I sat down on Skype with Elsie and we drew up an advocacy plan. And we went through with it for the next month. We wrote about these children. We talked to some of them and put up their testimonies online. And these stories went viral. There were shares, there were likes, there were comments, there were tweets, retweets, and we got so many followers that month. But that was where it stopped. Quite like the phenomenon of your likes are not helping, we reached a dead end. So the time had come to turn online action into an offline tangible. And that was when we decided to put pen to paper and wrote out letters to the ministry in Nigeria, showing them the stories that we'd put up on the blog, the photographs, and telling them that the world had already taken notice. It was time that they do something. For a month, for 2 months, nothing happened. In the third month, Elsie had an email from someone in the ministry asking if there was a change in the situation somehow. We jumped at the opportunity, and we told him that he could be the change maker if he wanted to. The next thing we know, the construction papers for the school were sanctioned and were in our kitty. And while we had our eye on the construction process, we also drew up curriculums that we could use for these children in the school. We spoke with other schools in Nigeria in order to find out how we could mainstream these students into a proper education system when the time came. And today, September 30th, 2014, ladies and gentlemen, as I stand before you and speak, the first batch of children from Oko Ijorogu have just attended their first day at school. And the reason I'm sharing this story with you is not to tell you about a personal success story or about Delta women's success, but rather to tell you about how fruitful and how successful an online partnership can be if it's used fruitfully. Here was a team of global volunteers from as far-ranging and wide as Russia and Alaska, Australia, Peru, India, and Pakistan, working for a small community in Nigeria. Here was a group of youth volunteers contributing online for a school of children that we may never have the privilege to meet or know, but children who we've been given the opportunity to give a shot for a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for listening to me and to the story of these children in Nigeria. And I'm hoping with all my heart that we come up with more collaborations and partnerships that give more and more children in the world a shot at a better future. Thank you.